What's up, guys? Today we're back and we're doing another Looster Box opening. That's right, it's 36 loose booster packs purchased from stores all around the country, and today we're hoping that maybe if we open all of these, we might get above hit rate, we might get below hit rate. You really don't know what you're getting with these packs, except what you do know for sure is that you've got to open them all. Alright, and of course, with our 36 packs for the Looster Box, we're going to have our one opening lucky good luck pack. And I'll see you there. Alright, like I said, let's get right into this first pack. Hopefully it will bring us good luck for the rest of the opening. Alright, throw that away. So, get into it a little more later, but I was reading some of the comments on the last post and thought they were pretty interesting. Right, flip off the energy, fire energy, showcase the infinite human spirit. Alright, Flamigo, Porygon, Cedra, Magby, Rika, Gorgeist, Professor Sada's Vitality, Dottler, reverse, Milting, reverse, and Porygon Z, hollow. Pretty sure that's exactly how we started off the last opening. But anyways, that's our good luck pack out of the way. Now let's get on to the Looster Box. Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of you commented on the last one that you wanted a little more, person in there, a little less opening. And I'm happy to oblige. And, also at the request of several viewers, I did go to my medicine follow-up appointment, and I'm now in a much better place mentally, and voices are a lot quieter, so I think I can probably just talk to you all through it today. Probably not going to be reading most of the card names since I saw them in the last episode, but I'll still go through them so you can see them. And I know that some of you were a little unhappy with my proposed solution for... Ooh, hello. All right, that is off to a good start. This is why we do the good luck pack. Let me just search around here for my sleeves. Oh, there we go. Actually, I want to place that down. Wouldn't want to risk hurting it when I pick it up. But let's see. Yeah, you can really see. Oh, what a beauty. Just a full art Cough Regis EX. Alright, but yeah, like I was saying, I think a lot of you didn't really care much for my solution to peace in the Middle East, which I get. It's, it's not for everyone. A lot of people want the war to go on, but I think that if we work together, we can find something out that really makes peace for all parties. But, I wanted to talk to you all today about something a little more close to home for me. I think a lot of people have been asking me how I feel about regret and moving on from things. And I think that's a good question to ask, and something that, it's worth thinking about, because a lot of people spend their whole life sort of full of regret, and they move entirely based on it. It's like they're fueled by their past, as though they're trying to escape something that really isn't even chasing them. And I think that something to think about with that is, a lot of people focus on what they're running from, but what are those people running to, It's like you're so focused on escaping that you don't realize that maybe you're escaping the frying pan and going right into the fire. But I think it's really natural and common to want to run from scary things, and sometimes that scary thing is a lion or some other predator, which is why we have that natural instinct. But we didn't evolve in an environment where the scary thing could be asking a girl out, or going to a work meeting where you might have a chance of getting fired or getting a promotion, or, you know, there's just so many things nowadays that are scary that we just didn't exist when we were developing our ability to fear things. And I think that there's a lot to think about in that circumstance about why are we afraid, and why are we letting that fear decide what becomes of us and what we do with our life. And I think realistically the thing that will come of that questioning is that we let fear control us because fear is making us let fear control us. And that if we just really focused on trying to express ourselves, ooh, vanilla-ish, that's a clean card right there. But if we really just focus on having ourselves focus on the now, focus on the future, you know, really escape what we're running from by stopping running from it. Because, you know, we never stop and look back or anything. But, yeah, maybe it's better if I explain it with a story. So, when I was in high school, I was destroyed by anxiety. I was constantly covered in it. Everything I did was guided by it, and there really felt like there was no escape. I was afraid of everything all the time. And eventually, I let that fear guide me to do things I didn't want to do, to avoid situations I wanted to be in, to stop seeing people I wanted to spend time with, that kind of thing, because I didn't know what could go wrong. And honestly, I was kind of afraid that if I let myself get close enough to someone that they could leave, that they would. Because of course they would. Because the anxiety will tell you that they always will leave. Which is that guy. And I think the thing to really focus on there is that once I started to really think about why I was running, what could I have to lose that I wasn't already depriving myself of, I realized that, you know, I had avoided a relationship because I was afraid, like, what if it doesn't go well? What if we break up or something? And I had avoided going to parties because I was like, oh, well, what if I don't have a good time? What if someone tries to do something? I don't know. And I realized that, well, in the end of it, I never had the relationship. I never had the good time at the party to begin with. So I really lost things for the sake of avoiding what I never had. And I think that's a really common thing, right? We sort of spend so much time fearing possibilities that we ignore reality. And people who are able to avoid that, you know, some people just naturally born without that fear looming over them. Some people, it's there for everything they do. But if you're able to break free of it, you know, or if you're just lucky enough not to have it in the first place, I think you'll realize how many doors it opens up. And one of the ways you can sort of try and break through that is to really focus on why, you know? Like, why am I letting this fear control me? Why am I afraid of this? What's the worst case scenario? In cognitive behavioral therapy, there is two approaches to dealing with these that I know of off the top of my head, of course. I'm sure there's many more. One of them is called thought squashing. And the idea with thought squashing is that whenever you feel yourself start to have those anxious thoughts, whenever you go, oh, well, you know, maybe I shouldn't do this. Well, maybe this will go wrong. Or like you start to think about mistakes from the past. You know, those thoughts that keep you up at night. What you do is you don't try to avoid having those thoughts, because you'll always have them. You'll slip into them, right? As long as that's your natural programmed behavior, you'll have those thoughts and behaviors. But what you can do instead is every time you catch yourself having that thought, manually stop it. And the sort of system I've thought of for this, that I've used a couple times and have helped other people learn to use, is to imagine that there is like a little imp at a control panel in your head. And he's the one driving the engine. He's making a lot of the decisions. He's generally deciding what types of things you'll think about, what you're going to want to do, and things like that. But, you know, he has some ill intentions as well. And one of the things he likes to do is pull this lever on the wall. And that lever, I think of it as being labeled evil thoughts, the bad things. And he loves to pull that lever. And when he pulls that lever, all you have to do to get him to unpull it is to catch him. And so when you start to have those bad thoughts, when you start to catch yourself possibly spiraling, what you have to do is think about him and picture him and go, hey, stop that. And then eventually, hopefully, he will. And when you force yourself to have that thought, you are really, what you're doing is you're interrupting it. And you're interrupting the original thought that was causing you to start to spiral. But whenever you are then thinking about the imp and how you're catching him and how you're stopping him, you're interrupting it. And, you know, when I first started doing it, I would say I was doing it maybe 4 or 5 times an hour, right? But then eventually I got to a point where I was doing it like once an hour, and then 2 times a day, then maybe once every other day, and then eventually it's once a week, and then maybe once every month or so. And that's probably where I am now. It's about once every month or so. And I think progress like that, it's slow for sure. It doesn't come overnight, but you know, the time will pass anyways, so you might as well spend it being better. And that's the first method and my personal go-to for addressing those sort of rampant background anxieties. The second one is I like it more conceptually, but I'm not sure how exactly effective it is. It's called catastrophization, which, for those familiar with anxiety, catastrophization is what you do when you activate the slippery slope and you say, okay, well, I have to present today in class, right? And so if I present today in class, and then that will go poorly, of course. Ooh, Iron Hands EX. That will go poorly, of course, and then I'll get a bad grade. And then I'll fail the class. And then I won't be able to get into college, or I won't be able to graduate college. And then I will be a failure. And then I will blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on and on. And you think of the worst possible stream of outcomes from any given situation. And catastrophization is the sort of answer to that and another form, which decatastrophization is going through it and trying to logically assess the likelihood of those things to get to a point where you say, it is so unbelievably unlikely, it is effectively impossible. But catastrophization is the opposite. It's where you go all the way down that chain, and it relies on this underlying information that whenever you're dead, it's over. And because of that, you go, okay, so let's pick up where we were, right? I failed the class, I failed out of school, I'm a failure, I can't get a job, no one will hire me, no one loves me, I'm homeless, and I live under a bridge, and then I die. And at that very moment, it's no longer my problem, right? go all the way through the chain. And no matter what it is, you figure out how long it takes for you to die, and then at that very moment, it's no longer your problem, so you don't got to worry about it. So, by virtue of the slippery slope itself, you don't have to worry about this, because it's not your problem. And that's sort of, I think, it's more fun to think about, but it can be a little more dangerous in the moment. But, you know, I guess it sort of breaks into question, like, so many people that want to die, or are suicidal in some capacity, they don't have, you know, they aren't able to really think through it logically, which is fair. It's depression, it's a mental illness that affects your ability to logically process information, and it affects the way you view the world around you. But when confronted with logic, can cause frustration, right? For instance, a lot of people who are depressed and maybe want to no longer be around, they will then also be the ones that are they're like not willing to do risky things, right? They won't ask that girl out. They won't present in class. They won't do this or that. And why is that? Because, you know, literally the worst case scenario is that you die, right? After that, it's over, game over. But they want that, but then they don't want these things leading up to it. And it's something I had to confront a lot when I was younger, both in those around me and in myself. And you sort of come to the realization that you don't want to die. You just want out. You want to be away from what's going on. And I guess allegory for it that I heard at one point that stuck with me is on 9/11, when the planes had already hit the tower, the people in the tower began to jump. They would jump from the 30th, 40th floor, whatever it was, because at the end of the day, you're in a burning building. It's more preferable to die instantly from hitting the ground than to burn to death. And that's how, you know, ending your own life can be. It is, you're jumping out of the burning building. You're getting away from it. And, you know, that's the context through which you have to view it. It's not weakness. It's not stupidity or anything. It's not cowardice. It's the only logical answer. When your brain is so turned around. And so what you have to do is you have to address that. And you can't treat it as though it's some outlandish thing that no one in their right mind would ever do. Because it's not. But the people who do it are not in their right mind. And you have to be able to help them. You have to be there for them to support them. Because it's the kind of thing that whenever you take a step back from it, you realize that whatever you have to do, whatever you have to say to help these people through it, to get them past that moment, it's more important than however they're going to react to it. I would rather have someone stop being my friend than for everyone to lose them forever. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And it's taken it before. But I think you have to be willing to argue with them. You have to be willing to support them. You have to be willing to confront the things they say and address it and make them really think through it. And they won't like it a lot of the time because the depression is taking over. The depression is guiding their thoughts and their actions in a way that they may not even realize it's doing, and almost never do realize it's doing. And so when you try and fight against the depression tries to fight back. And, you know, it's something that there's still a lot of debate as to why it might happen, and especially why it might happen to humans, especially. But I think one of the most interesting theories I've heard is that it's a sort of form of built-in social support seeking, where once upon a time, way back when, it made it so that you were actually getting the help you needed. When you were in a smaller community, when it was like a tribe of up to 14 to 20, right, you were actually getting help because you were displaying these symptoms. Because either the tribe cared enough about you to help you through it, and to support you while you were in that period, or you were removed from the tribe, in which case it very quickly solidified your social standing. So it's sort of a way of verifying that you were cared for. And of course, over time, as that happens and the people are cared for, that trait remains. And of course, now we're in a completely different environment than we would have been when that happened. And we are, you know, it's so much different than it was before. It's so hard to really even imagine what life would have been like. Like, you see someone once in one area, and if the people you're with move on to the next area, you will never, ever see that person again. And probably if you do, it means you're fighting. And like, there's no getting to know those people. There's no combining efforts or whatever, because you can only keep track of your own. And, you know, maybe we're kind of back in an age like that with social media and whatnot, fake friends, fake people, etc. But I like to think that we're a little bit more, not quite evolved, that's not quite the word I'm looking for, but advanced as a people, a little more cooperative and compassionate overall. I think a lot of people like to think that there isn't really a common collective experience, right? There's not one thing that brings all people together. But, you know, here I am. I'm opening Pokemon cards on a YouTube channel that someone else owns, and making it so that, oh, almost forgot how to do it there for a second. Making it so that whenever anyone wants to look at this video or look at this channel, maybe they're getting a little something out of it beyond the excitement of opening a pack. Which, don't get me wrong, it's very exciting to open packs, but sometimes there's more to life than that. And hopefully, with my help, we can get that with these videos. And I think, you know, there's a lot of reason to believe that people don't get along inherently, or there are these in-groups and out-groups that will never mix, and they can never mix and should never mix, and, you know, it's a slippery slope, which I don't quite agree with almost any point of the way. I think there's always a way to find a way to connect people, right? For instance, I, right now, am doing this, but I also am other content creator, and I work with cosplayers sometimes, I work with a rapper, I work with academics, I work with writers, you know, I work with scientists, I work with an engineer, I work in sales, and the biggest thing that you sort of realize from all of that is that, you know, people are just people. They aren't some crazy new thing, and each group isn't so deeply different. You know, sometimes if you just listen to people and try to understand why they are the way they are, it helps you understand yourself and why you are the way you are. And when you get that understanding, I think that is the first step to really becoming someone that you want to be, right? That we all want to be. There's so much that we can hold against each other. There's so much that we can say that, oh, well, this person says this person does this, so we can never be friends, right? But, you know, when I met a former gang member, and I had the opportunity to help him get through his college program, and I had the ability to help him become the man he wanted to be. I was honored to take that on because he had very different viewpoints than me. He had a very different experience than me. There was almost zero overlap in our experiences, but you know, we worked together. We found what overlap there was, and we used that to build up a friendship and to build up an ability for him to become more than he was, and for me to become more than I was, absolutely. Because that type of thing goes both ways. Helping people will almost always help you in some capacity. And even when it doesn't, it's just good to do, right? And, you know, I'm not religious by any means, but I think the important thing to realize is that you don't have to have some big motive, some big reward for doing it, but just doing it is the reward itself. And you sort of get to have those big moments where you really see someone grow and become more than they were just because you gave them the chance to. And, you know, maybe I'm just a sucker for personal growth and motivation, but I really appreciate those types of things. I think that they're one of the reasons that it's worth trying to understand others. And, you know, it's a problem I have with a lot of the neoliberal left, which I'll take credit for being a part of, is that they don't like to give people second chances. They like to respond to hatred with hatred and violence with violence, and they think that the only way to get things done is through bloodshed, when a majority of them are white and powerful, and they have a background with money, and they have so many other avenues for action, right? And the violence of the oppressed against the oppressor, that's one thing, but the violence of the oppressor against the oppressor is sort of just a roundabout way to show that you support someone without actually giving them the support that you can. And I think there's something inherently wrong with that, you know? It's like so performative in a way that makes it so that you don't really get to have the outcomes that you want, or really any of the change you desire, all for the sake of proving a point to really, I think, no one at all most of the time. And now it looks like I've got about 3 minutes left before the oven's done, so I've got to finish this up quickly, but it's really been a pleasure to get to talk to you all today. I think that if I could just talk to you a little more, we'd really get to the bottom of all of this. And who knows, maybe next time I'll have a friend with me. Maybe next time I'll be by myself again. You know, being by myself has never really been too bad, because at the end of the day, we're sort of always by ourselves. And maybe we're by ourselves with someone else, and maybe we are truly together with someone else. But there's something magical about being comfortable in that state. And there's something really impressive about accepting whether you're alone or with another person, or, hey, maybe both, maybe neither. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just experience them. I think something we can really all get away from is thinking that there's only one way through. And, you know, sometimes I don't know how many people will watch this or see this, if anyone. I don't know if anyone will get this far in the video, if anyone will really listen to me at all, or if they'll just put it on mute, turn on Family Guy clips, and go to town. But I think one of the most impactful things you can do, if there's one thing you can take away from this, it's to listen. I think there's a deep beauty in just listening, both to yourself, to those around you, to those you love, all of those. the more you listen, the more you try to understand, the more value you'll take out of life, the more that any given thing will be able to give to you. And sorry, I'm going quick because the oven's about to ding, in which case I will have to pause the video. But there is a lot of change that needs to happen in the world. And I think people like you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, can help that. You know, I'm recording this in January of 2025, and there's so much left to do in this world. There's so much left to change and improve. Maybe by 2026 it will all be over. But either way, hold on. Alright, we're back. Just had to quickly pause it right there. The chicken fingers were delicious, as always, and they were very, very well done and excellent. But yeah, like I was saying, where was I? Oh, that's right. Yes. So whenever you have the chance to view something through someone else's perspective, to really try and address the way you think about things and what you believe about different situations, I cannot implore you enough to take that on. I really think that it's one of the great abilities of the human mind. And granted, it doesn't fully develop. If you're a 13, 14-year-old watching this, and you go, wow, well, it's just so difficult to take other people's perspective. I don't really understand what people mean when they say that. It's not your fault. That region of the brain that allows you to do that generally develops a bit later into your life, like when you're around 19 and above, right? And so you not having that ability right now is not a personal failure. It's not something that you should hold against yourself. Rather, it's just a standard cornerstone of that point in your life. But something you can try to do is to, like I said, listen to other people. I think, you know, the blanket statement of just always listen to your parents, always do what you're told, bad, right? And never take a blanket statement, you know? But with that, something you can do instead is really focus on trying to get through to yourself and really try to figure out why, wow, that is phenomenal. I mean, maybe my favorite card I've ever seen. Sorry about that. Anyway, the best thing you can do, really, is to try and think, why am I being asked to do this? Why am I being told this? And if the answer is because they think that it is best for you, ask yourself why. Because, you know, it's okay to disagree, right? I think there are plenty of times where my parents were wrong, or my friends' parents were wrong. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has moments where they have an error in judgment, or they are working on bad information, or they just have a wrong idea about a situation. But there's also a lot we just don't know as people. There's only so much any one person can know. And so knowing that lets us really move our beliefs away from it being them versus us, and it being more towards how can we work together to understand each other, right? Because there's a lot probably other people don't know about you. And I think if you try to really focus on what's different and try and find how you're so different and how you could never believe that, and like they don't know what's right for you, right? Then you'll never get the benefit of what they can provide. And I think that end of the day, there's beauty in understanding how to change circumstance, right? And the number one circumstance to change is our own. And we're coming right up to the end here. And I think something to ask yourself in all of these things is, how can I improve myself? And for me, that's trying new things. It's breaking out of my cage. That's making up for the favors that I owe Carlos. It's taking my meds. It's listening to the voices sometimes. And end of the day, there's only one thing left to do. That's open our final pack. And you all know what we have to do. Spin it once, spin it twice, spin it back the other way to undo that last one, flip it over, flip it back over, flip it once more, open it up, take it out, take off the packaging. Of course, as you know, we leave the pants on. Let's see. There we go. And then we take the energy out. Great. Plusle. Cool. Tandem Mouse. Toadschool. Toxel. Ferrothorn, Orbeetle, Clouf, Purloin Reverse, Mantike Reverse, and Tapu Koko EX. This is what you love to see. And frankly, I would be remiss if we had an opening without a Tapu Koko EX regular sized art. There's so much to do, so much to see, and I think what we can take away from this is that there's so much love in the world, and there's a lot of miseducation on how to help people. And the best thing you can do in any situation to help those around you is listen to them. And alright, let's go through our polls. Let's have a clean background. Give Carlos the shots he wants. Alright. Ahem. Alright, so today we pulled Bombardier EX, Tapu Koko EX, Iron Hands EX, Joltik Full Art, 196 out of 182. We've got Toxtricity EX, Mewtwo EX, Toxtricity EX again. We have the Gimme Goal Full Art, 198 out of 182. We have Ferrothorn, 209 out of 182. We have Vanillish Full Art, 190 out of 182. We have Cavagregious EX Full Art, 224 out of 182. And finally, we have Rika, the Full Art Trainer with beautiful texturing. And this is going to be our 258 out of 182, 2 gold star rarity. That is just a beauty, isn't it? It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And hey, that's all we got for today. But as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I love you. Good night.
Music licensing reimagined.